Um, Hi everyone, my name's Nick Smith and I'm here today with Gap Year Fairs to talk to you about the different options available to you with regards to taking a gap year and doing volunteer work overseas as well. So, and Owen's also going to talk a bit about his own experiences on his gap year, and so am I. So we're from Gap Year Fairs, which is an organisation that offers free and impartial information to students in the Southwest about all different aspects to do with how to take a gap year and the different options available to you as well. So, and that's available to all post-16 students and schools and colleges in the west of England. So, next slide, yeah, thanks. So I'd like you to ask yourself, where do you think you'll be in 6 months' time after you finish school or college? What do you think you're going to be doing? So have a think about where you can see yourself being just after you've left school. What are your plans at the moment? What are you thinking? And have that in your mind. And then if we could go on to the next slide, these are the 5 options that are really open to you that we've thought of. And I don't know which one of these you're thinking of doing. So I just want to run through them and think about why doing each of these might be a good idea, what the positives would be and what perhaps the negatives would be as well. So option 1 would be just to get a job. So what might be a good thing about finishing school or college and going straight away to get a job? Could somebody give me something that they think why they might want to do that? Anyone? You get money, exactly. So you might think, oh, I've had enough of having to go to school and not having any money, and now I can get a job and earn some money myself. Why might that not be such a good idea? Anyone? Someone? Why might it not be a good idea to go and get a job straight away? What's going on at the moment? Is it easy to find a job? No, it's not. So you might have trouble finding a job, and if you do, it might not be the job that you really want as well. So moving on to option 2, you could just choose to go straight to university. So why do you think that would be a good option? What's the benefit of going straight to university? Yeah, you can develop your skills, learn new things, and then maybe that will help you find a better job in the future. What might be a disadvantage of going straight to university? Expensive, yeah. The fees have just gone up, haven't they? So it's quite a lot of money, and you might get there and not like it, so it's a bit of a risk. So third option we've got up there is go travelling. You might think, well, I've had enough of being in England, I just want to go off somewhere else and sit on a beach for a while. And why would that be a good idea, do you think? Well, it would be probably quite fun, wouldn't it, I imagine. And can everyone think of a reason why that might not be such a good idea, just to go off and travel? Expensive again, and it's not really adding many skills, is it? If you just go off and have a long holiday, you're not really learning any new skills. So option 4 could be to get some work experience. How might that help? Why would that be a good idea? Anyone? Someone give me, what do you think you could gain from doing some work experience? Well, again, you could gain some new skills, which might help you in the future to find a job, rather than just going straight into work now. If you get some work experience, then that can help you build your skills and make you more attractive to different employers. Then the 5th option we've got there is to go and do some volunteering. Why would you maybe want to do volunteering? What's the advantage of going and doing some volunteer work? Could someone give me an example? You're all a bit quiet, but well, doing volunteering, obviously, it allows you to give something back, perhaps, to people who aren't so fortunate as yourselves. And also it can again help you to build some new skills, learn about teamwork, independence, confidence, things like that. So those in the future might actually help you to gain a job as well. So that could be an advantage of going volunteering. So if we could move on to the next slide. These are some of the reasons that we've thought of about why you might want to take a gap year. So for example, you can take a break from study and examinations. After so many years of being in school, it's quite nice to have a year where you can do something different, choose what you want to do. And really just pursue some of your interests, or maybe go somewhere new and try some new things that you haven't experienced before. Independence and confidence and a sense of achievement. So if you go off and travel by yourself or do some volunteer work, it can really help you feel more independent and give you a sense of achievement that you've planned it and you've done it, and that can be really, really great for your confidence as well. The third reason we've got up there is it's a chance to rethink your future. Because at the moment you might be thinking, I don't really know what I want to do. I don't know, do I want to go to university? Do I want to go straight to work? So if you decide to take a year off, then it can give you that time just to really think about what you want to do and maybe reassess what you think your future holds for you. The next point is you'll get more out of university. So it's been shown that people that take a gap year, they tend to drop out less at university because, it comes back to that point of giving yourself more time to think about what you really want to do, rather than rushing into a decision. You'll learn new skills, like I said. You might be able to learn a language if you go abroad or something like that, which can really add to your CV. And improve your employment prospects is obviously very important as well. If you get work experience or if you go and do some volunteer work, those are the things that are very valued by employers and will look great on your CV. It can help you to put things into perspective as well, to kind of reassess and broaden your horizons and really get a different view on the world. And finally, we've said it's fun, it really is, and you can make new friends. You can make friends all around the world, and it's a great time to really meet some new people who you might stay friends with for life. So, on to the next slide. These are some of the main different options that we've thought of that you could do in a gap year. So I'll just briefly run through those. You've got teaching and community work. You could go and teach English or work in a community overseas. You could do expeditions, so go exploring or climb a mountain. There's also lots of projects that do conservation work in rainforests or coral reefs, things like that. You can care for disadvantaged people. You can do that either in the UK or overseas. And there are some paid placements you could do. You can work in engineering, also in insurance and finance. There are placements available for a range of either a couple of weeks or a couple of months or even a whole year where you'll actually be paid. So that's great experience. You could work with children as an au pair, or there's various different summer camps in the USA where you can go and help out at those. You could choose to develop your skills through taking IT courses, learning a new language, things like that. You can also go and do different sporting activities. So it might be you helping other people overseas actually learning how to play sports, or you can be coached yourself, or you can go to Thailand and learn how to do martial arts, something like that. And then there are various work and travel programs as well, where there are organisations that help you to travel and also provide you with some work as you go, which can help you finance your travels on the way. And then there are just some pure work experience. You can do medical placements in certain places, so if you're thinking of going into medicine or becoming a doctor, you can spend some time getting experience of that before you do it. Okay. So this is a plan that we've kind of thought of for a gap year. If you were thinking of doing some volunteering or a project, first of all, you would need to raise the money. So we think if you raise the money yourself through the work, or you can apply to charities, and there's other ways that you can raise the money. Then after doing that, we think it's best if you do a constructive project or program. So rather than just going off and traveling for 6 months, we think it's best to really have something structured so that you'll get the most out of it, and also you'll be able to give something back to other communities as well. Whereas if you go off traveling, you might actually end up, just for the whole time, you might end up spending quite a lot of money and not really gaining that much out of it. But obviously, independent travel is an important part of a gap year, and it's a great opportunity to do it. So if you were to do a project or a program overseas, then after completing that, you're already there, and then you've got a great opportunity to go around and travel for a bit as well. So, sorry to move on, thanks. If you decide that taking a whole gap year isn't quite for you, it's a bit too long, or you don't think you can manage it, then you could do a kind of a mini gap. So, for example, in university summers or after your A-levels, you could go away just for a couple of weeks or a month if you don't want to commit to the whole year. So that is another option. The only downside with that is if you're going to do volunteering or some sort of project, if you only go for a couple of weeks, it's very difficult to make a real contribution. We tend to think that the longer you can spend doing something like that, the more you'll get out of it, and also the more that the people you're trying to help will benefit from it as well. If you just go there for 2 weeks, it's difficult to really make that much of an impact. So, yeah, next slide, that's great, thanks. These are some different ways that you could raise the money, because obviously some of these things will cost money. So the first one is paid work for past year. As I mentioned, there are some paid work schemes where you also build work experience and they'll pay you for it as well. Or it might just be getting a part-time job or a full-time job for a few months before you can then go and do some travelling or volunteering afterwards. You can work as you travel, as I mentioned. There are several organisations that will help you, for example, go to Australia and they'll help you find work there, which can then fund your travels. You can fundraise. There are various charities and bursaries available from people who will help you to. There's letters. You can send letters to business and charities, but you can also fundraise as well. So, for example, you might want to do a sponsored bike ride or a sponsored run to raise the money to help you pay for your volunteering. And you can also get bursaries as well. There are some organisations that will provide money for young people if they are going out to do voluntary work overseas. And we said don't ask your parents to pay because it's a bit part of the whole experience of taking a gap year is raising the money yourself rather than just asking your parents for the money. Thanks. So then what can be quite difficult is deciding which organisation or what you actually want to do in your gap year. So we've just got some points there about how to go about choosing a good organisation. First of all, you need to decide what you want to do, obviously, and then try and find some different organisations that match your interests and offer programs that you think you'd be interested in. Then we said it's a good idea, if you can, to get the contact details of people who've done it before so that you can see if the company or organisation is good, if the programme was good, and ask these kind of questions just to make sure that this is a good organisation to be going with. And also you can email us for free, and our advice is completely impartial. We're not trying to sell any particular organisation, and that's the email address at the bottom for that. So now I'm just going to briefly talk about my own experiences. I took a gap year 2 years ago, and I spent 4 months volunteering in Vietnam with a charity called Latitude. As I said, put up there, I was teaching English in a college, mainly to people my own age, and some of them were training to be English teachers themselves. So my main task was really to help them practice their speaking and their conversational English, because it's much easier for someone to learn English from a native speaker than it is from someone who's not. So my role was really to help them with their pronunciation and those aspects of learning the language. It was very challenging at first. Obviously, you're thrown into a completely new environment. I didn't speak the language really, which was difficult, and it was a bit of a culture shock. But after a few weeks, I got used to it. I started to enjoy it, and I became more confident in the classroom. And I think that my teaching improved. And after a while, I got a real sense of achievement as I watched my students' own English improve. And that was something that I really found was one of the best aspects of doing my volunteering. So after I'd finished my volunteering, I then went and travelled for a month around Vietnam with some of the other volunteers who I was with. And that was great. I've made some great friends doing that, and those are some of the experiences that I'll always remember. It's such a good opportunity once you're already in a country like that to go and see the rest of it, having already acquired the kind of the cultural knowledge, and people were telling me, oh, you should go here or you should go there. And I think that by being in one place for such a long time, overall I was actually in Vietnam for 5 months, it really helped me understand the country and get to know the people as well, and get the most out of it rather than just kind of trying to jet around the world in a short amount of time. So that was really brilliant, and I am still friends with some of the people I met there and still in touch with them, so that's another thing that I've really taken out of my gap year. Also, it made me a lot more confident, a lot more independent as well. I probably wouldn't be standing here speaking to you today if I hadn't have done this, because I used to hate doing things like this, but now I think it's fine. So it allowed me to give something back, but also to improve my own skills as well. So that's what I've taken out of it, and that's why I would recommend doing a gap year to you. So I've got a few pictures, which we just might flick through, and I'll explain what I did. So this is the city in Vietnam. Motorbikes everywhere. At first it's a bit like, oh, but you get used to it. This is where I was teaching. These are some of my students on Halloween. These are the rice paddies. Obviously they grow a lot of rice there. So that was watching them harvest it. This is a beach. So there are some upsides to going away to places like this. You can sit on nice beaches. Again, this is at the same beach. These are some of my students again. It was actually one of my students' brother's wedding, which we went to, which was quite fun. This is whilst we were travelling. This is a temple. This is a place called Ha Long Bay, which has got some fantastic scenery, and you take a boat trip around the little islands, which is quite fun. This is just jumping off our boat. and you can go trekking along the hills, and these are all rice paddies that they make into terraces, and you can go and walk around them, which is quite fun. And then, yeah, that's just me with the friends who I was travelling with. That's all. So I'm just going to pass over to Owen now, who's going to talk briefly about his own experiences and show you some pictures of what he did as well.
Cool. Well, next my name's Owen, and I'm just going to give you a quick rundown on an alternative kind of gap year that you can take. So I actually did my gap year 6 years ago now, so it's quite a long time. And I split mine up into 3 different components. So as soon as I finished my A-levels way back when, boom, I was on the first plane to South America, and I actually undertook a 2-month expedition in the Peruvian Andes on a mountaineering and scientific research trip with the British Schools Expedition Society. So this was, if any of you done DFE, anything like that? So yeah, you know what it's like, going up and down mountains all day long with all your kit on your back. 4 days is knackering enough. We did it for 2 months and it was amazing. So we spent all our time trekking and camping, looking after ourselves. We're an entirely self-sufficient unit for the whole 2 months. And during that time, we were contracted by the Peruvian government and the National University of Lima to undertake a few research projects. So we're looking at things like the impact of tourism upon the local environment, changes in the geology, looking at the glaciers in the mountains, looking at the wildlife, so the birds and the butterflies, that kind of thing, and then interacting with the local people as well, seeing what their opinions are on their way of life. It really was quite a rewarding 2 months, and it was an absolutely fantastic start to a fantastic year. Then I came back to England and I worked for 10 months solid. I got a job in my local cinema scooping popcorn for £5 an hour. The most boring job you are ever going to have in your life. But it was worth it, you know. I was just saying, oh, I hate this. Can't stand popcorn now, hate it. But it was worth it because I knew what was coming next. And that was another 4 months away. And I spent 4 months working in the United States at a children's summer camp. Who here's seen The Parent Trap or Beaver Falls, that TV show? It's that kind of thing, except it's way more awesome. So I spent 4 months, I spent 3 months coaching, so doing sports coaching, adventure trip leading, all kinds of things, just looking after children. So one period I'd be doing a football session, then I'd lead a camp out, go lifeguarding, horse riding, mountain biking, leading a jewelry session, you know, whatever it may be, working with all different kids, boys and girls, all different ages, and it was fantastic. It really was. Camp put me up, they gave me a bed, they gave me 3 meals a day, and they gave me some pocket money at the end. So I went away for a month afterwards, and I just traveled the US, and it was absolutely fantastic. You know, I've been going back every year now since then. So I've been working there for, what, 5 years, and it's absolutely fantastic. I do it during the summer holidays between university terms, and it's a fantastic job. I have American friends come over and visit me now. I go over and visit them during the holidays. Absolutely brilliant. So getting worldwide friends is something that's we really encourage about it. So we both did gap years, but we've both had very different experiences, and there's no limit to really what you can do with your gap year. So there's a whole 15 months, as we mentioned, that you can fill and do with what you want. So if you've got any questions about any particular projects, any particular aspects of taking a gap year, anything maybe like the logistics, the health and safety, the fundraising, come and talk to us at our stand. We've got loads of flyers, loads of brochures about loads of different organisations, and just come check us out. So thank you very much. Yeah, cool.